And we are thrilled to be able to welcome in a great Rangers goalie who succeeded him, John Davidson. And as we welcome you to the show, you heard the news. You think back on what Eddie was as a player and then his years afterwards. What comes to mind?
Tony Rupper, thanks for having me on. I got a text this morning from Pete Stemkowski, former Ranger teammate of Eddie's for many years, and said that we lost Eddie, our goalie. I phoned him right away, and he was driving up to the Westchester Country Club. The Rangers have their alumni golf tournament today, and he told me that he got news from the family that he had passed away. And I just said, oh, Lordy, you know, that's three goalies the last little bit when you included Ken Dryden and another former Ranger goaltender, Wayne Thomas. And it makes you think about things. When I was traded from the Blues to New York, and the two goaltenders were Ed Giacomin and Gilles Villemure, and they were a great tandem. And they made me feel like a teammate. And I was a young kid in my early 20s, just traded there, obviously a major part of their future. And they treated me so well, it was remarkable. And the last time I saw Eddie was about 3 years ago at Madison Square Garden. We had a long talk. He was terrific. And he looked great, too, for a man that was in his 80s like that. Just looked great, always fit, always bubbling. It was great. And then Gilles Villemure, he's still kicking. He's up at the golf tournament today. Pete Stemkowski's taking care of Gilles. So it's quite a time. They treated me very, very well.
You know, John, if you don't mind talking about JD, reading and learning a little bit more, talking about what a great stick-handling goaltender he was, how acrobatic he was. Yeah. And was he before his time and a lot of different things that he had as far as in his toolbox?
Yes. You know, Rupper, you brought it up when you two were talking at the top about you hope that, and I do too, I hope players look at former goaltenders and see how they played, or former players and what they were about. History of the past has helped make what it is today. And I love it when players sit and look and learn and find out about these people. Eddie was exciting. I think he was one of the first really good puck-handling goaltenders of all time. And there you can see the Rangers with the most wins throughout their history. There's some pretty good ones there, really good ones, when you go all the way back to the Gumper with Gump Worsley. But Eddie was exciting. He was a big, huge favorite at Madison Square Garden. And a quick story, I was on the airplane early in the season, flying somewhere. We were on our way to a game, and I walked to the back of the aircraft, and Frank Pace was there. He was the medical trainer. I said, Frank, you all right? You don't look so good. He says, well, you didn't hear the news? I said, what news? He says, Eddie got put on waivers. He was picked up by Detroit today. And I was in my early 20s. And I go, oh, I didn't know about that one. Oh, boy. And the next game that Detroit had was at Madison Square Garden. And I was at one end as a young kid, and Eddie came in as the former Ranger. I have never seen a building at that point of my life so electric, and pulling for the other team's goaltender, which was totally understandable. There were banners all around Madison Square Garden. They chanted the whole game. Detroit won, and Eddie stopped close to 50 shots. It was one of the hardest nights I've ever had, but one of the greatest nights I've ever had, if that makes sense. And it taught me a lot. It taught me about the fandom in New York, how loyal the Ranger fans and how they fall in love with their players. And Eddie, look at him flying out here and doing things all over the ice. And there he is without a mask on. And just a fabulous human being, a fabulous goaltender. And when you go talk to Ranger fans that have been around a long time, they'll just grin and think about Eddie Giacomin and the way he played his position.
JD giving us goosebumps.
I love that, JD. Because we know how special MSG is. And you're a very special player to have your name chanted wearing the blue shirt. But let's not forget, these are New York fans. Like, not many people can come back as an opponent and have their name cheered. So I love that you said that. Can you also, I read that night, there were some players on your team with the Rangers that would maybe score the goal. They were getting booed. Is this true? They were getting booed in that game?
It was very, very emotional. Some of the players had a hard time playing against them. They'd been partners and teammates for years. This was a difficult time. And Eddie just kept stopping the puck, and then I let one in, and he'd go stop 10 more, and I let one more in. And it was hard. It was hard. But a footnote to that is, after the game, and it was the old garden where the Rangers room was here, there was a hallway, and then the visitors was there. And Eddie came and saw me after the game and basically gave me a pep talk. and told me how great it's going to be playing in New York and how much you're going to love it there and how great these people were. And again, for many days, I was in a zone where I was thinking about that whole night, and it really hit me how, and I had never seen it before, and I'm sure it's happened in other arenas around the league, but those Ranger fans, they poured their hearts out that night to a player that had just been moved to another team who had played his heart out for them for so many years. There's Marv Albert and Eddie Giacomin having his jersey retired. Look at the fans. They're so passionate in New York. There's Eddie Giacomin and Rod Gilbert with Gilles Villemire there. That's fabulous. Look at Rod. These guys were stars on Broadway. That's something that's pretty special. And I was a kid who grew up in Calgary, Alberta, played junior hockey in Calgary, got drafted by the Blues, I was so good my first year was great. Second year I was so good I got traded to the Rangers, and then a whole world opened up for me. And it's been some of the greatest memories of my life. But a lot of it happened when Eddie, he could have just gone with it, and I had a great night and I blew the Rangers out, but he went and found me and had a discussion. And that pep talk really meant a lot to me, and it still does.
My goodness.
That's cool.
That's grace and class personified by both of you, and we know the way you've carried yourself. When you think about what it's like to play that position in that market, it's tough. And what he was able to do and the kind of career that he carved out when you were the guy and you became the guy, how much did you reflect back on what you'd seen him do?
Well, it was more about the highs and lows. If you didn't play well, they were going to let you know. And that goes on with any sport in New York. I mean, some players get traded there, whether it's baseball or football. I can't handle it. I was a young guy when I got traded there, and I had a hard time for a while. But then I learned when you play and you play well, the response of those fans, they almost demand excellence in a lot of ways. And if you're not playing well, they're not afraid to let you know. And that's just how I learned to deal with that, which was a good thing, because you go through life and it's not always perfect. And you've got to learn to deal with things that fall in your lap, that are good, that aren't good. And in turn, in playing for the Rangers, 1979, our team went to the finals, lost to Montreal, of course. But that was something that with those fans, I mean, you wake up in the morning up in Westchester where I lived, and there was gifts on my doorstep. I mean, it was remarkable, and how the fans got behind us and almost pushed our team to a Stanley Cup championship. It's a great place to play. I've often been in management where I've seen some of our players, and I've been part of it, where they've been traded to. I remember Derek Brassard, and I said to Brass, I said, "You're going to have the time of your life. You're going to see something you've never seen before. You're going to love New York. Everybody should have a chance. Rupper, you know what it's like. Have a chance to play in New York for the Rangers. It's a lifelong experience. It's fabulous, and especially if you enjoy it the right way, man, there's nothing better."
I love you taking the time and sharing this stuff about Eddie Giacomin. I could listen to you all day long, JD. Last thing I want to just ask you real quick. I love goalies that wear number 1. I mean, is that a lost art, wearing number 1? And I think this is a great, honorable way, one of the greatest to wear it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great number. I wore 30, and I also had Phil Esposito got traded to the Rangers. He wore number 7 in Boston. Number 7 in New York was Rod Gilbert. So he says, "I'm going to wear 77. Will you do me a favor?" Nobody had double digits in those days. "Will you wear 00?" I said, "Sure, Phil, I'll do whatever you want to do." It wasn't so smart. it was not a good idea. But 30 was fine. 1 would have been fantastic. 00. Yeah, not a good idea.
Talking with you has been a great idea to celebrate the life of Eddie Giacomin. Thanks so much, JD.